Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Congressman Bong Suntay has issued a public apology to actress Ann Curtis and those offended by his recent analogy during the Vice President's impeachment hearing. Suntay, however, maintained that his remarks carried no malice.
Vice President Sara Duterte now has 10 calendar days to respond to her impeachment complaints, which were deemed sufficient both in form and substance by the House Justice Panel.
The country's inflation rate rises for the third straight month to 2.4% in February from 2% the previous month.
The Makabayan Bloc has withdrawn its support for the substitute anti-political dynasty bill being pushed by House leadership.
First on the news, Quezon City Representative Bong Suntay has apologized after his remarks about actress Ann Curtis during a House hearing sparked public outrage. The comments have drawn criticism from lawmakers and women's groups with calls for an ethics review. Mobile Journal Arles de los Santos reports.
Bakit nasaktan, humihingi tayo ng dispensa. Miss Ann Curtis rin, kung nasaktan siya sa Senate, there was, ulitin ko, there was no malice intended at tayo humihingi ng dispensa sa kanya. It was a fictitious situation. Isa lang ang totoo doon, yung sinabi ko ang ganda-ganda niya.
The public remains enraged after Quezon City 4th District Representative Bong Suntay's controversial statement towards actress Ann Curtis in a House Justice Committee hearing on Tuesday.
Diyan, nasa Shangri-La ako, nakita ko si Ann Curtis. Ang ganda-ganda pala niya. You know, may desire sa loob ko na nag-init talaga. Na-imagine ko na lang kung anong pwedeng mangyari. Nothing immoral. It's just, I said, may na-imagine ako.
The statement was quickly stricken out of the Congress record but drew a major backlash from the public. Some expressed their disappointment and frustration considering it came from no less than a congressman, more ironically, on the celebration of National Women's Month. Among them is Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte, who found the remarks troubling, saying that Suntay's statement directly contradict the spirit of empowerment that they have long fought for to build in Quezon City. He urged Suntay to apologize properly to the actress and take accountability. Senator Risa Ontiveros, meanwhile, was alarmed over Suntay's insistence that there is no mistake in his statement, reminding him that gender-based harassment is punishable through Bawal Bastos law. The Philippine Commission on Women has also condemned Suntay over his remarks towards the actress, adding that his words are not harmless expression of respect, but rather a public act of sexual objectification, a declaration of predatory desire directed at a woman, said in the post. With this, Gabriela Party List Representative Sara Elago wants gender sensitivity trainings to be a requirement for every member of the chamber to ensure everyone's grasp on the issue, emphasizing that inappropriate sexist remarks are unacceptable in the House of Power.
We believe na yung ganitong tipo ng mga non-apology, yan yung nagno-normalize pa ng harassment at nagiging taktika din yan para ma-minimize yung abuse at mapatahimik yung mga kababaihan. Kaya
on Wednesday's plenary session, Laguna 1st District Representative Ann Matibag, who is also the chairperson of the Women and Gender Equality Committee, urged the Majority Floor Leader to refer Representative Bong Suntay's loud remarks to the Committee on Ethics and conduct a hearing at the earliest possible time.
Ang dignidad ng kababaihan ay hindi kailanman dapat maging katatawanan sa loob ng Kongreso.
Kapatid Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
The House Justice Committee declared the third and fourth impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte sufficient in substance.
The House Committee on Justice has found the surviving impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte sufficient in substance. The two complaints, filed by a group led by Father Bong Saballa and that of lawyer Nathaniel Cabrera, garnered an overwhelming yes vote of 54 with 0 abstention. Quezon City Representative Bong Suntay was the lone negative vote. Just like in the first ouster move against the VP, Both filings mainly accused Duterte of betrayal of public trust and other violations. That's over the alleged misuse of 612.5 million pesos in confidential funds. There's also her supposed threat to kill President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., First Lady Liza Araneta, and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Bicol Saro Party List Representative Terry Ridon connected Sara's purported squander of public funds to her unexplained increase of net worth.
And if we will base it from the original SALN at 2008 to the 2024 SALN, Madam Chair, it is an increase of more than, I think, 1,200%. So we leave it to the House Committee on Justice to make a determination on whether the comparison between the original SALN at 2008 and the current SALN at 2024 constitutes unexplained wealth, which is essentially part of the impeachable offenses that we would want to proceed with at this point.
In an interview with The Big Story, Akbayan Party List Representative Chel Jokno believes that there are sufficient grounds to examine the bank accounts of Vice President Sara Duterte.
May mga alegasyon na napapaloob sa parehong complaints, yung third and fourth complaints tungkol sa unexplained wealth, tungkol sa mga bank accounts and in relation to the SALNs of the Vice President. So there is a basis for that.
Apart from these grounds, filers have also included the testimony of self-proclaimed Duterte bagman Ramil Madriaga in their impeachment complaints. With both impeachment complaints now past the Committee on Justice, the Vice President was ordered to file her answer to the impeachment complaints within 10 calendar days. Her defense counsel, Attorney Michael Poa, has acknowledged the House Committee's decision and said the legal team will carefully review the records of the proceeding. House Justice Panel Chairperson Jervil Luistro, meanwhile, clarified that finding the two remaining complaints sufficient in substance is not tantamount to declaring the Vice President guilty of impeachable offenses.
Do the allegations rise to the level of impeachable offenses? Do these complaints meet the constitutional threshold to move forward? And importantly, are the allegations credible enough to justify moving forward with the process? At this stage, we are not deciding guilt.
Justice Committee Vice Chairman Representative Bel Zamora told Sa Totoo Lang that the committee will now issue a notice directing the Vice President to file her answer within 10 calendar days from receipt. This will be her opportunity to present her side and lay out her defenses to the allegations in the impeachment complaints.
After she files her answer po, the complainants are given 3 calendar days within which to file their reply. And then the respondent Vice President is again given a chance to answer back by way of a rejoinder 3 calendar days from receipt of the reply.
Now let's get some insights from political strategist Malu Tiquia. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for joining us again.
Good morning.
Hi, Diego. Good morning. Good morning and good morning to all your televiewers and listeners.
All right, ma'am. So much to unpack, no? But of course, yung mainit na topic ngayon, yung impeachment complaint ni VP Sara na on one side, sinasabi nila parang ang bilis naman daw ng pag-approve ng sufficiency in form and substance. Ano po take natin dito?
Well, Diego, siguro talagang ganun. Pag ikaw nasa dehado, talagang bibilisan at talagang yung proseso ay pabor dun sa mga gustong ma-impeach siya. Siguro yun ang realidad ng sitwasyon ngayon natin.
So, kumbaga parang expected na to, ma'am.
Yeah, expected na yan at siguro the Vice President is able to present her defense, the better for the process as well as the country, considering we're facing a global war na. No? We should focus more on that than the impeachment. But since it has started, siguro kailangan ng kung gaano nilang kabilis ng paghusga ng form and substance, siguro bigyan na niya ng panahon ang Vice Presidenteng ma-receive yung complaint, mabigyan sila ng panahon para sumagot.
So if ever, she was given 10 calendar days to respond to these complaints, no? Pero meron bang possibility that her camp won't respond? Meron bang ganon? May option ba?
Sa tingin ko naman, dahil pumaloob siya dyan, dapat sumagot sila, no? Kasi yung proseso, yung 10-3-3 calendar days, no?
Yes.
Hindi session days, ay mahalaga para matapos na natin itong usapin the soonest possible time. Ang siguro, Angela, ang pinaka-problema dyan is the congressional calendar. Kasi meron silang recess sa Holy Week, ang balik na yata nila Mayo, tapos merong another recess bago ang CNJ. So, most probably, matatapos siya ng House of Representatives ng yung May to June bago magtapos CNJ at maiangat sa Senado kung talagang may trial.
Alright. So yesterday, habang gumugulo nga itong hearing ng kanyang impeachment complaint regarding the substance, ay nag-file na rin po or nag-sue, no? Nagsampa ng kaso si VP Sara against this self-proclaimed na bagman, no? Alleged bagman ni VP Sara. How will this help, no? Her impeachment case, if there is any help at all?
Kasi alam mo, Angela, there was a time na very proactive siya sa pagsagot. Tapos biglang tumahimik. Sa aking pananaw, yung pagtahimik, na-frame siya as being guilty, no? Kahit wala pang hearing at lahat. So, ako, sinasang-ayunan ko yung pagpapile ng perjury dito sa supposedly ex-aid para makita ng tao na hindi totoo at yan ay sinungalingan lamang at ginagawa siya na instrumento to put down the Vice President.
Ma'am, I want to ask you about yung plenary and how the congressmen may vote. No, let's face it, this is also a political exercise leading up to 2028. Ngayon, ano po ang nakikita nyo based on your expertise with regards to possibility how the congressmen will vote? Will they vote according to conscience or will they just itatapon nila to sa Senado at parang bahala kayo to deal with the repercussions?
Well, alam mo, Diego, sa tingin ko yung voting with conscience is a farce. Nakita naman natin yung 54 na bumoto. Di ba may isa diyang congressman na napakagaling question. Talagang may legal point siya, ha? Tapos biglang bumoto in favor.
Is that Congressman Rufus Rodriguez?
Yes, Congressman Rufus na, yes.
Oo. Magaling ang pagkakasuyod niya. It puts question and doubts to the mind of, yung at least nakikinig eh.
Right.
Sila mga politiko, kita mo naman dun sa 54, isa lamang ang hindi bumoto. At pakiwari ko, merong deputized na bumoto. Parang 4 yata o 5 yung deputized para bumoto. So, yung pag tinignan mo sino yung deputized, titingnan mo ngayon yung partido. No, ang malaki diyan yung NUP na naglabas na kung walang bago, hindi nyo kami maaasahan tumulong diyan. Tapos yung miyembro nila nagkuha ng conscience vote, no? Ang sunod diyang malakas ang lakas at saka ang numero ay ang lakas at ang NPC. Yung party list malaki yun dahil 54 yan, isang bloke. So hindi natin masasabi na mahirap makakuha ng 106. Kasi ang hinahanap na lang naman ay 54, di parang 52.
52 na lang.
Ang hinahanap na lamang. Oo. So kung sa plenary yan, kung makukuha sa plenary after makita yung evidence dun sa substance, ang reading ko, iangat yan sa Senado.
Pero before we talk about the Senate, ma'am, I'd like to ask you mentioned kasi Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. So ano yung, kasi initially we all thought he would vote against it, no? So ano yung play dito? Was this optics on its part para hindi magmukhang minamadali? Kasi nagulat po ang lahat na si Congressman Suntay lang ata ang nag-vote against.
Yes, that's only.
Oo, siya lang.
He's the only
Oo,
one.
yung kay Congressman Rufus, malaki yung kanyang, may weight yung kanyang sinasabi dahil dating din yan ng isang College of Law natin, kilala nating constitutionalist, no?
Yes.
Hindi ko alam kung yun ang parang binibigyan na may debate at hini-hear out yung mga issues o nagtatanim siya ng doubt sa mind ng mga kongresista na pwede niyang i-pick up sa plenary or pwede niyang inopen niya yung sarili niya sa posibleng mga sagot pagdating doon sa debate sa substance, no? So maraming laro pa yung punto na linabas ni Congressman Rufo. Sana lang klaruhin dahil kung nag-create ka ng mga doubt from the DepEd position to the SALE,
Yes.
tapos bigla kang boboto para doon, hindi natin makita kung saan gagamitin yung mga pinalabas niyang mga issues.
Parang may confusion doon on his part. Oo. Pero
Yes, yes. At lalong mas malaki ang confusion nung kay Congressman Ridon.
yes, I was
Kasi
gonna
nung
ask you that.
pre-present yung SALN, di ba yung pre-present ng SALN, parang wala naman yun dun sa allegation.
Yun.
Yes,
I was
oo.
gonna ask you nga po
Bumalik siya dun, bumalik siya dun sa 2008. Hindi naman kasama yun at Vice Mayor nun si Vice President Sara. So makikita mo kung paano nila i-tilt yung laro sa committee na ipalabas yung SALN na hindi pa naman usapan tungkol sa evidence, di ba? Mere determination of substance lang naman. Pero nakita
that's right.
ng publiko yung SALN ng 2008. Hindi niya nakita yung 2008. Linink niya sa 2008 tapos ang pinakita sa publiko 2003 at 2004.
Yes. Oo. So-
Kung ikaw ay hindi trained na mata, magugulat ka dun sa jump. Di ba? From 340 to 4 million. Ang punto ko lamang dun sa mga nakikinig sa inyo at nanonood, yung 2008, siya'y Vice Mayor. Natural, ang Vice Mayor, magkano lamang at ang Vice Presidente ay magkano. Tapos ang conclusion niya, 1,000 plus 1,008 percentage increase.
Yes.
Maling-mali naman yung math niya. Kasi compounded yun eh. Kung gusto mong gamitin ang 2008 as point of reference, mali na yun. Kasi hindi mo pwedeng i-mix ang local sa national.
Exactly, oo. So parang kasi ang nilalaman nung kanyang impeachment complaint when she is already a vice president, 'di ba? Tama po 'yun.
That's right.
Oo. Ang
So,
nilabas niya po
napakahirap.
dito ay 70 million increase or 1,200% in a span of 16 years. Yun po yung pinupunto niya. From 2008 to 2024.
Oo. Maraming mangyayari sa 16 years. Sa buhay nyo, sa buhay ko, sa buhay ng sino man. Ang 16 years, napaka-daming panahon yan. Mahigit na almost 2 decades. Para mo, ang conclusion mo, unexplained wealth.
Okay.
Diba? Para namang maling-mali yun.
So why do you think meron pong ganun na pagsasama, inclusion, itong si Congressman Terry Redon doon sa hearing yesterday when in fact it was just a hearing for the sufficiency in substance?
Makikita mo kasi, Angela, na inaalaw ng chair. Medyo loose ang chair when it comes to presentation of evidence. Hindi naman yon hearing pa on the merits of the
case.
evidence in the substance.
Yes.
Diba? Ang tinitingnan lang nila procedural. Meron bang laman? Enough ba yan para husgahan natin? At pag nagkaroon tayo ng hearing, mapapalabas natin na impeachable. Yun eh.
Oo.
So, wala pang passing judgment. Pero makikita mo, yung sa pagbibigay ng mga ng mga documents, siya, si Ridon, si Congresswoman Laila De Lima, dahil complainant, makikita mo talaga ang presentation, talagang mag-e-end ka na impeachable.
And the Committee Justice Chairman allowing this, makes you think na talaga pong may pagkiling na talagang i-approve itong impeachment against the Vice President? Do you think?
Oo, Angela, kasi kung wala kang pagkiling, dapat dinidisallow niya yon. Marami namang mga tanong na dinisallow niya, 'di ba? So dapat ako ang pakiusap ko lang, maging patas. Kung patas ka, walang issue yan sa taong bayan. Pero kung sa simula pa lamang, hindi na kayo patas, pumapasok sa isang arena na kontrolado ng House of Representatives. Mahirap yun.
Okay.
Kasi maganda yung punto ni Congressman Rufus Yung bang DepEd impeachable? Diba? Kasi ang impeachable officer lamang, yun yung basic. So, maganda yung mga punto ni Congressman Rufus, nalungkot lamang ako sa desisyon niya.
Oo nga, yung mga nakinagulat talaga ng public kasi in-expect nila he will vote against because of the debates, no, the arguments he raised during the hearing. Pero taking this opportunity na rin, Ms. Malu, no, regarding your reaction doon sa naging remarks of Congressman Bong Suntay, although he apologized already, do you think it's an apology? And what do you think about it? Kasi I specifically remember you, Ms. Malu, during the time nung si Laila de Lima po yung napoprosecute sa Congress noon, na may mga pangbabastos sa kanya. And you posted something na wag namang ganun sa mga kababaihan. So what about this time?
Oo, alam mo, pareho pa rin ang aking sentimento. Pwede namang yung analogy na ay iba, pero yung sinabi niyang siya'y kinilig nung nakita niya, medyo hindi naman di ba? Medyo hindi kagandahan naman yung maririnig mo sa isang mambabata. Siguro ang lalo na Women's Month ngayon, ang March, di ba? Parang ano ba naman yun? Kahit na analogy, maling-mali yun. Ang mabuti naman at naintindihan niya at humingi siya ng paumanhin.
Oo. Pero do you think, sundot ko lang to, Ms. Melo, do you think na dapat din magsalita si Vice President Sara Duterte regarding this? Knowing that nag-vote itong si Bong Suntay against her, pero yung remarks regarding kababaihan, do you think
for her?
For her?
Oo, dapat nagsalita siya na kasi bilang babaeng leader at nakikita naman natin yung pang-aaping ginagawa sa kanya, siguro take the side of karamihan na babae na mahirap naman yung merong isang lalaki magsasabi, nakita ka lang, nangiinit na yung katawan niya, di ba?
Exactly.
Parang napakahirap naman accepta rin yon sa panahon ngayon.
Exactly.
Alright, well, moving forward, Ms. Maluno, if this goes to the Senate, ano ang, with its current composition, ano ang tingin nyo ng posibleng mangyari? Also counting the fact na si Senator Bato and si Senator Bongo ay mukhang pinag-iinitan ng mga ICC warrant.
Well, alam mo, Diego, talagang yung ang kanilang inaayos dito sa mga issues na ganito. Meron tayong 9 na minority sa Senado, merong 15 na majority. Kailangan mo ng 16 of all the 24.
That's right.
So kahit nila minusin yung minority, all of the 24, di lalong hihirap na makakuha ng 16. Bawasin mo yung 2, alsin mo yung 3 gusto nilang kasuhan, lahat naman yan na inasa minority, ay di maiiwan ay 4 na lamang.
Yes.
No? 4 plus 15 ng majority, 19. Napakahirap makakuha ng 16 dyan. So pag kaya nga ang parati kong sinasabi, paliitin yun ng paliitin yung total number of senators sa Senado. Still, ang saligang batas ang nagsasabi, 2/3 of all the 24 members.
Of all 24, so, not yung current number.
Oo. So, technically, napakahirap na makuha yung 16. Kahit mo ugain ng minority at hawakan mo yung 15 at maging 19 na lamang, sino yung, sabihin mo nang hawak nila yung 15 talaga, sino yung isa na babaliktad?
Alright.
So yun, napakahirap nun.
Alright, as always, thank you so much for your time and insights, political strategist Malu Tiquia.
All right, Vice President Sara Duterte has filed a perjury complaint against Ramil Madriaga. In her affidavit, Duterte dismissed as false Madriaga's accusations that he received campaign funds on her behalf from drug and pogo syndicates. The Vice President also denied knowing Madriaga and maintained that his allegations are politically motivated. According to Duterte's lawyer, the complaint was supposed to be filed as early as January, but they were overwhelmed with work at the time.
It shows that the complainants and those pushing for the impeachment did not fact check or did a background check on Madriaga and his claims, and that's why they claim that his testimony is the smoking gun, quote unquote, for the impeachment against VP Sara.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Inflation in the Philippines continued to edge higher in February, rising for the third straight month. For the details, let's bring in Mobile Journal Amy Atienza from the PSA headquarters in Quezon City. Amy, ano na ang latest inflation data?
Yes, good morning, Angela Diego. Kanina nga ay inanunsyo na ng Philippine Statistics Authority na nasa 2.4% ang inflation na rate ng Pilipinas for February 2026. This is actually 0.4% higher doon sa January 2026 inflation at 0.3% higher kung year-on-year analysis naman yung titingnan natin dito sa inflation rate nga. So February 2025, nasa 2.1% lang ang inflation rate ng Pilipinas. So technically, mas mabilis pa rin yung daloy, yung pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin. And actually, yung main drivers nito ay una yung food and non-alcoholic beverages, where nakita natin yung cereal products, maging yung mga vegetables and fruits ay may mabilis na pagtaas ng presyo. Bukod pa dyan, nakita rin natin, similar dun sa nangyari last month, na yung housing, electricity, and gas ay meron ding huge contribution sa acceleration nga nitong inflation rate. And last, of course, ay yung sa restaurant and accommodation services, kung saan nakikita pa rin natin na may positive inflation nga doon sa mga presyo ng mga bilihin na binibili outside of our homes. So kabilang din dito yung sa mga nasasabi natin na karinderya, mga cafes, maging yung mga fast food chains na binibilhan nating mga Pilipino, of course, ay talagang malaking contributor doon sa inflation na nararanasan natin for February 2026. Ngayon, na pag-usapan din kanina doon sa press conference, Angela Diego, yung possible impact nitong Middle East war sa presyo ng mga bilihin. Pero nasabi naman ni Undersecretary Dennis Mapa na hindi nga sila pwedeng makapagbigay pa ng forecast dahil too early to say. Pero sinigurado naman nila na they have to monitor that. At noong 2022 naman daw, nung merong Ukraine-Russia war, nakita din na may increase nga din dun sa prices ng oils, ng petroleum. So titingnan natin, and nagsinigurado naman din ang Department of Economy, Planning and Development na meron din silang monitoring system para nga maiwasan yung ganitong malaking pagtaas, dahil nga nakikita natin din sa forecast itong mga petroleum na napakalaki ng possible increase dahil nga dito sa Middle East war.
Yeah, since wala pa naman tayong forecast, wala pa tayong data sa Middle East war, kakasimula lang. Ano yung base price natin ngayon sa inflation basket ng fuel or oil products para at least if ever moving forward may panggagalingan tayo? Malaki rin ba impact nito?
So far, Diego, wala pang nakikita talaga dito dun sa pagdating sa fuels. Hindi ganoon kalaki pa yung impact pag February 2026 inflation, yung pag-uusapan. So, mostly talaga ang naging big factor dito sa February 2026 inflation din ay yung sa agriculture, where dun nga sa rice na nakikita na malaki din ang contribution din talaga nito doon nga sa mabilis na pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin. So, para lang din malinaw ulit sa lahat, pag inflation kasi technically ito yung flow talaga or yung speed ng rate kung saan nga paano.
Yes, Amy, medyo nag-freeze.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, okay na. Go ahead, Amy.
So, ayun nga, tulad na sabi natin kanina, more on sa agriculture pa talaga tumutuon ng pansin itong February 2026 inflation. So doon sa rice dahil nga din sa mga supply, and of course dahil nga Philippines ay technically centric doon sa pagkain nga ng kanin. So yun yung mga big factors pa na nakikita natin ngayon. And of course, tulad ng nasabi ko kanina, doon pa rin sa housing, sa electricity, pero doon sa fuel ay hindi pa nakikita masyado, no? Hindi pa ganoon kalaki yung impact sa February 2026.
Amy, dun sa trajectory na if ever magkaroon talaga ng malaking effect itong tension sa Middle East, pero sabi nga nila, there are measures para makontrol ito, tulad na lang ng mga fuel subsidy, 4-day work week, pagkansela or suspend ng excise tax. Would this help also ba yung inflation kapag kaganon?
Actually, yes. Isa sa mga malaking factors din, of course, is that kung may provisions din and of course, with may close monitoring din, iba't ibang government agencies, no, makikita natin yung pagbaba din at yung pagbagal ng pagtaas ng mga presyo ng bilihin dito sa ating bansa. So tulad nga din nung nasabi, ito may nilabas na statement din ang DepDev tungkol dyan kasi bukod daw sa monitoring, of course, meron din silang planong implement na measures para nga hindi ganoon kalaki yung impact nung nakikita nga nilang forecast on oil prices. So, isa sa mga measure na gusto din nilang makita is ma-encourage daw at ma-reduce yung fuel consumption, of course, by encouraging the private sector to do the same. So, meron dyan yung paggamit daw nitong shuttle buses, pag-encourage ng carpooling, pati na rin yung pag-i-implement ng flexible work conditions or arrangements na kung saan parang i-offer na rin mismo ng DepDev itong possibility na magkaroon nga ng work from home, pati yung mga usually nasa corporate offices dahil nga if tumaas ang presyo ng fuel, no, ay tataas din syempre yung presyo ng mga transport services, hindi lang yung mga ride-hailing apps, maging yung nakikita natin sa pagko-commute, no, ay posible rin talagang tumaas yung presyo ng mga yan. So yun yung mga tinitingnan nilang measures para nga ma-ensure na hindi din ganoon kalaki yung magiging impact at para nga masigurado na hindi rin ito makaka-apekto ng ganoong kalaki sa inflation rate para naman sa susunod na buwan.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong oras, Mobile Journal, Amy Atienza.
The Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges is set to begin reviewing ethics complaints against 6 incumbent senators on March 18. Committee Chair Senator J.V. Ejercito said the panel cannot act on any complaint until the rules are formally adopted and published. He added that 5 days after publication, members may start reviewing copies of the filed complaints.
We will vet first kung ano yung talagang according to rules, no, nasa according to form, kasi baka ma-technical yung iba no. Then kung in case, we will tell the complainants na ayusin nyo. If you would decide so to refile, kung sakasakali, and then we will also, the committee will review kung ano talaga yung may grounds, no? So, pag-aaralan naman namin lahat yan Siguro we'll take it one case at a time or two at a time, kung depende, no? But now we have already given all the information on the cases and the nature of the cases.
So far, 6 ethics complaints have been filed, including one involving Ejercito himself and Senator Bato de la Rosa. Ejercito declined to name the other senators facing complaints, saying the panel will only disclose details once sufficient grounds are established.
It will be unfair kung mga frivolous po yung mga complaints, di ba, or allegations, tapos pagpipiestahan na sila. No? Pagpipiesta na kami, that includes me, in media, social media, and by the public.
Let's now head over to the Senate. For more updates, we have Mobile Journal, Merimon Reyes reporting live on the ground. Merimon, ano na ang latest dyan?
Angela, Diego, good morning. Yung ngayong araw na ito, itong Migrant Workers Committee headed by Senator Raffy Tulfo, kasama niya rin ang kapatid niya na si Senator Erwin Tulfo, ay tatalakayin yung bagong Balikbayan Act. So ang inaasahan natin dito, magbabahagi ang DMW, ang OWA, ang TESDA, ang Civil Service Commission ng kanilang makikitang steps kung sakali magkakaroon ng panukalang batas para sa mas maayos na reintegration ng OFWs. Ito yung mga OFW o mga balikbayan na babalik sa Pilipinas either through repatriation or kung yung choice na nila, babalik na talaga sila ng bansa. Or tulad ngayon sa opening statement ni Senator Raffy Tulfo na very concerning yung case ng mga OFW sa Middle East. Kaya yung ilan sa kanila, pagkabalik dito sa Pilipinas, ang concern ng mga senador, paano yung reintegration nila. So that includes dito sa Bagong Balikbayan Acts, may 4 kasi na proposed na versions nito. Ang habol nila is full cycle reintegration na hindi lang daw tutulong sa pag-uwi, kundi kahandaan din daw ng mga OFW. Kasama na rin dyan yung kanilang kabuhayan at trabaho, magbibigay tulong para sa job matching, yung sa skills recognition, entrepreneurship training, pati financial literacy training para sa mga OFW, para masiguro na pagka bumalik sila ng Pilipinas, kumbaga hindi sila parang maninibago o magkakaroon ng confusion kung ano yung pwede na nilang gawin pagbalik ng Pilipinas. Kasabay din dyan yung psychosocial support for emotional and mental needs nitong mga OFW, especially kung ang manggagaling ay sa mga lugar na currently experiencing ng conflict or kung meron silang traumatic experiences sa ibang bansa. Bukod dyan, yung digital systems din, ito yung Returnee OFWs Management Information System or ROMS, pati yung Reintegration Management System, ito ay yung para sa madaling pagmomonitor sa mga sitwasyon ng mga returnees o nitong mga balikbayan sa bansa. So kasi simula lang ng pinakapagdinig, pero tomorrow, may hearing naman ang committee ulit on foreign relations headed by Senator Erwin Tulfo, kasama ulit ang DMW, ang OWA, ang DFA, na pag-uusapan kung ano pa yung pwede nilang gawin ng gobyerno para sa mga kababayan natin na nasa Middle East na currently ngayon in conflict.
Okay, Meremon, kamusta naman no yung vibe diyan sa Senate after nung yung privilege speech ni Senator Lacson na alam naman natin sino yung pinatatamaan niya doon because meron ding statement itong si Senator Marcoleta. Have they crossed paths already after that speech? Kamusta?
Well, yung ang nasabi kasi sa statement ni Senator Lacson, yung it's written in Chinese nga, in Chinese language na you cannot explain ice to a summer insect. So, though ito kasi si Senator Rolante Marcoleta, nung nag-privilege speech siya, na sinasabing meron daw isang colleague na naglabas nga ng edited na video tungkol sa remarks niya on the Kalayaan Island Group sa isang hearing naman ng Commission on Appointments. In return, yung hindi naman pagbanggit ni Senator Marcoleta, pero ipinapakita niya kasi during that time ay photos, videos, statements nga rin ni Senator Ping. So, in context, yun yung na-pertain na scenario. Pero usually naman kasi kapag ka nagpa-privilege speech yung mga senador, right after naman ito, they'll proceed naman as normal, as usual. Not unless magkakaroon sila muli ng ilang mga pahayag. Pero so far naman, ito naman kay Senator Ping, yun yung naging kasagutan niya. For the Commission on Appointments naman, yung meron kasing resolution na final yung Municipality of Kalayaan na gusto nila ipa-strike out nga itong remarks ni Senator Marcoleta. Pero ang CA, including yung motion naman ni Senator Marcoleta na baguhin daw yung sinabi niya nga on record si CA. Ang sabi dito ng Commission on Appointments, they'll be needing more time daw to review, lalo pa na sensitive and very technical yung changes sa transcript na nais baguhin ng senador. So we'll be keeping watch sa magiging developments on that matter.
Okay. Yung ano naman din, yung I remember kasi last week ba yun, nagpa-press con si Senator Amy Marcos asking the Senate to hold a investigation, no? Doon nga dito sa 18 Marines who are alleging na they bribed several personalities regarding this ICC case, and even the ICC investigators daw dito sa Manila ay may mga pera na involved, no, to help with the case of the former president. May ano ba tayo doon? May update tayo regarding that?
Actually, Angela, nung time din na yun, itong si Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson, nag-conduct din ng preliminary investigation, nakipag-coordinate siya sa Philippine Marines, sa Philippine Navy, and mukhang dito sa 18 na to, inaalam pa yung identity kung discharged na ba sila na uniformed men or they actually have affiliations dito. And sinasabi rin dito ni Senator Erwin Tulfo, nakikita niya na parang etong mga affidavit or yung narratives na binring up ng more or less 18 na uniformed men, mukhang yung karamihan sa mga ito, narratives lang para manggulo, mandin lang, na mukhang nabayaran din or may plano lang para lang magkaroon ng kaguluhan. Pero as of now, we're also waiting kung magkakaroon din ba ito ng epekto sa direksyon ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. Ang sinasabi naman kasi ni Senator Ping, blindfold approach ang gagawin nila. Where the evidence leads them, they'll take it from there. Pero so far, even yung BRC report, hinihintay din pa natin yung pirma ng mga senador bago siya maihayan sa plenary floor. Even yung schedule ng Blue Ribbon, since etong allegations nga, connected din ito dun sa mali-maleta na naman ng mga kickback na natatanggap allegedly. Pero we're yet to confirm pa kung if it will shift or if will weigh in or out yung ginagawang proceedings naman ng Blue Ribbon.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong oras, Mobile Journal Mary Mon Reyes, reporting live from the Senate.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Okay, so before we move on to our next news, of course, kani-kanina lang, a few moments ago, a group of private citizens has already filed ethics complaint against Congressman Bong Suntay regarding his remarks yesterday, or the other day,
sa lower house.
Doon kay Ann Curtis. And this group was, the group was accompanied by Gabriela Women's Party List Representative Sara Ilago. So this is a developing story. We'll see what will happen next. But this time around, the Makabayan Bloc has withdrawn its support for the substitute anti-political dynasty bill being pushed by House leadership, saying the proposal is watered down and falls short of the Constitution's mandate. Representatives Antonio Tino, Sara Ilago, and Rene Co said the bill merely regulates political dynasties instead of prohibiting them. The group cited Article 2, Section 26 of the 1987 Constitution, which calls for the prohibition of political dynasties as may be defined by law. The bloc also criticized the proposal as full of loopholes and favoring entrenched political families, and urged lawmakers and the public to back stronger measures that seek a complete ban on political dynasties.
And joining us now is ACT Teachers Representative Antonio Tino. Good morning, Kong. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good morning to you, and good morning to everyone. Thank you for having me here.
All right, Kong, baka you could help us understand in the public why you withdraw your support sa substitute bill. What made you decide to do that?
Well, because yung substitute bill, far from prohibiting political dynasties, actually encourages yung tinatawag ng mga fat dynasties.
Right.
Sabihin, yung sabay-sabay, tapos may nag-expand horizontally and vertically ng mga dynasties. Ibig sabihin, ang pinagbabawal lang dito ay magkamag-anak within the second degree of consanguinity or affinity. Ibig sabihin hanggang for example, tito. Gano'n, no? Tapos, ang bawal lang ay kapag ka sa isang government unit, for example, isang LGU, ay sabay kayo. So, hindi pwede yun. No? So, for example, mayor ka, tapos hindi pwede na may vice mayor or konsehal ka na kamag-anak mo. Pero pwede naman na mayor ka sa bayang ito, yung asawa mo, mayor sa kabilang bayan, governor yung isa pang kamag-anak, congressman ng isang district, congressman ng district, isang senador, isang national official, pwede yun. No? So, really, it instead of prohibiting dynasties, it institutionalizes a certain kind of dynasty. No, very limited yung pinagbabawal niya. For example, ang ipagbabawal dito, yung mga magkakapatid or magkamag-anak sa Senado. Or yung presidente at saka senador or congressman na magkasabay. Kasi parehong mga national.
Well, it's good.
Apart from that,
go ahead.
Apart from that, ay pwede na yung mga binanggit ko na very extensive political dynasties.
Pero Kong, it's good you pointed this out. No? But do you see this version that you're talking about, getting support? para ihabol daw sa sona ng Pangulo as part of his bragging rights?
Mukhang ganun ang isang posibilidad. That's why minadali, no? As I described it as railroading nga, no? Kasi
Yes, Kong.
Yes,
So,
Kong,
nawawala po kayo.
Can you repeat that part lang, Kong? Nawala po kayo.
Hello? Kong, can you hear us okay? We'll try to get
Naputol
him
din
back.
niya. Sayang, maganda yung pinag-usapan.
Oo. Kasi this portion or this version of anti-political dynasty is the one being endorsed by the House leadership
Yes.
itself. Pero yun nga sinasabi nila, watered down ito. Kumbaga parang meron pa rin pagkakataon, it still allows itong version na to na magkaroon ng sabay-sabay na mga posisyon sa gobyerno ang mga magkakamag-anak.
Because sa spirit kasi ng Constitution, what the anti-political dynasty bill should address is yung control over a specific location. Kasi if you have control over that, corruption can flourish.
Yes.
So, pero dito sa watered down version, kamag-anak mo pwede maging governor tapos ikaw mayor, may control ka.
Ganda nga nung pinopoint out nila because the Constitution says prohibit dynasty. Pero ito daw kasi regulates.
Oo.
So it doesn't say in the Constitution na regulate. So dapat sundan natin na prohibit. Pero ang mangyayari naman dyan, just in case kung mukhang ito ay papasa sa Kongreso, we will see kung ano ang magiging tugon ng Senado regarding
You have
this.
to remember the Senate has their own versions. Madaming
Yes.
version ng Senado dyan.
But I also want to know through Congressman Tino kasi ang kanilang block, yung Makabayan block, they've also endorsed a version of anti-political dynasty before, which is House Bill 209, na ang sinasabi nga ng mga iba, no, ng mga nag-aaral tungkol dito sa anti-political dynasty is the strongest version. Although talagang magkakaroon ka ng mga disagreeing body because yung mostly of the people composed in the Congress belong to the dynasty also. Okay, so we have Congressman Tino back on the line. Kong,
Yes.
as you were saying,
Yes. Yeah, una talagang niratsyada ni Railroad dahil may 26 versions. Usually dadaan muna yan sa technical working group to come up with a consolidated version. Wala man lang anumang discussion on key issues. Like for example, yung degree of consanguinity.
Yeah.
Second ba, third, fourth, walang discussion at all. Yung kung pwede bang may sabay, no? Kung tatanggapin yung may sabay na magkakamag-anak, ilan ang pwede. May mga sa amin dapat walang sabay. Pero may proposal, dalawa lang. May maximum na dalawa lang. Dito unlimited essentially as long as hindi kayo sa same governmental unit, ano? Walang anumang discussion doon, basta sabi yung version na lang ng speaker at saka ng majority leader, Speaker Boji Santo Marcos, yun na lang daw ang i-adapt. No? And so and so to your question, mukhang posibleng gustong ihabol ito before the summer. Although, what I will say is that napakalaki nung gap or disparity between this version that was approved in committee and yung na-approve na sa committee level ng Senate.
Yun nga
Ano lang dalawa lang, parang gano'n.
That's right. So doon magkakatalo pa rin sa version din ng Senate if ever. Pero yun nga po no, it's good that mention nga po doon yung inyong pag-atras, yung Makabayan block, na nakalagay po sa Constitution natin ay prohibit dynasty. Pero itong version nila ay regulates. Yun nga po yung inyong pinupunto dito. I was wondering what happened po doon sa version po ninyo na ang sinasabi po ng mga expert, yung mga nag-aaral ng anti-political dynasty, ito yung strongest Yung version po ninyo talagang hindi po pwedeng payagan na sabay-sabay yung magkakamag-anak. Kung kumbaga, like yung sa Senate, di ba ilan yung magkakapatid doon na senador? Hindi po pwede yun. So, what happened there? Hindi po talaga sinuportahan, Kong?
Well, what happened there is simply na sinet aside lahat. No? So, both yung sinasabing yung prohibition talaga, yung bill namin really prohibits dynasties, kasi yun ang mandato ng Constitution. Ibang versions, they regulate na ngayon, ang usapin na lang dito, gaano kalakas ba yung regulation. So, dito sa version na pinili, talagang very minimal yung regulation. Only in certain cases will dynasties be prohibited. Like, yun nga, for example, yung example ng Senado, hindi pwede yun. Pagkakapatid. Apart from that, halos pwede na lahat. Pero meron din namang mga, let's call it middle ground, yung sa Senate version, I would call it something like that. Kaya lang, yun nga, wala nang debate, wala nang discussion, walang technical working group, walang nothing, basta sabi, ito nang i-approve natin. So, at gano'n naman, dineliver yung boto nung majority. So yan na ngayon, para sa atin, at least this House version will in fact encourage or legalizes fat dynasties, so-called fat dynasties.
So, Kong, we're no longer talking about prohibiting dynasties. Ang discussion ngayon in both houses ay the word regulate. Yun na lang ang...
Regulation.
Are we resigned to that fact na hanggang regulation na lang tayo ngayon?
Of course, hindi ang position natin, no? Ang malinaw para sa atin, parang forthwith to eh. Pag sinabi mo prohibit, no? Pero supposedly, ang sinasabi nila, well, kung talagang absolute prohibition, wala daw papasa sa Kongreso, so regulate na lang tayo. Parang ganun yung thinking ng mga iba, no, na nag-advocate na hanap tayo ng middle ground, no? So this is prohibition. Ngayon, ang problema sa House version nga, sobra naman. Halos wala ka nang pinagbawal. No? At parang yung no, there will be, the consequences will be that dynasties will really seek to expand beyond their hometown, home province, etc. In the same way na yung kumbaga may ganyan ang so-called unintended consequence in the same way na yung term limits resulted in expansion of dynasties, in order to go around the term limits.
Well, we have so much questions, but unfortunately, we don't have much time. Sa susunod na lang po ulit, maraming salamat po, ACT Teachers Representative Antonio Tino.
Thank you. Good morning po.
Morning. Now in sports, defending champion National University bounced back in style in the UAAP Season 88 Volleyball Women's Tournament. The Lady Bulldogs scored a straight sets win over the University of the East. Mobile Journal Denise Valdesancho reports.
It was a strong bounce-back win for defending champion National University in the UAAP Season 88 Women's Volleyball Tournament. The NU Lady Bulldogs reasserted their form with a straight sets victory over UE, 25-19, 25-10, 25-19, Wednesday at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. The win came just days after NU suffered a tough 5-set loss to the UP Fighting Maroons. This time, they made sure there would be no extended drama. And despite no super rookie Sam Cantada, Ara Paniquel led the way with 12 points and 3 digs, while Celine Marsh chipped in 11 markers built on 8 attacks, 2 aces, and a block. She also delivered on defense with 12 digs and 4 receptions as NU improved to 4-1.
So Sam is doing fine. She's just resting, but hopefully we get to see her next game. With Cel's performance, I never really doubted. I never really feel like malaki yung nawawala kapag may isang player na di makakalaro, because I know somebody else can help the team out. So tulungan lang po talaga kami.
The FEU Lady Tamaraws completed a clean sweep of Ateneo, 25-17, 25-17, 26-24 to claim their second straight win. FEU erased a 12-19 deficit in the third set to seal the match in straight sets. Spider Bacanque scored 12 points, while Lovely Lopez added 8. The Lady Tamaraos now stand at 3-2. In the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference, the Savoge Aesthetic Spin Doctors stayed unbeaten after dispatching VNS Always Bright Laticrit in straight sets 25-16, 25-17, 25-22 at the Phil Oil Center. Louis Ramirez led the charge with 10 points, while Joven De La Vega and Gilles Torres provided solid support. Meanwhile, the Alpha Insurance Protector snapped a 2-match slide with a sweep of 3B Event Masters. CNC Lang orchestrated the offense with 24 excellent sets as the Protectors evened their record at 2-2. In the 2026 PVL All-Filipino Conference, it's a doubleheader today at the Phil Oil Center. The Signal Super Spikers take on the Zeus Thunderbells at 4 p.m., followed by the PLDT High-Speed Hitters facing the Farm Fresh Foxies at 6:30 p.m. Kapatid Denise Valdesancho, we are One News.
Right, that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I am Angelo Castro III. Kapatid, we are One News.
All sides, all the time.